Hey everyone, Percy here. Let's talk Studio One. I'm gonna express some concerns about Studio One. So I've been using Studio One as my main DAW for some years now. I really love Studio One, I really do. I really love how it operates, I love how it looks, etc. But there is at least one area where I feel that Studio One is kind of starting to fall behind to the competition. So this is kind of a feature request from me to Presonus, the creators of Studio One.
Supercy.
Okay, now by the way, if you think, well, this guy sounds like he has a little bit of a cold or something like that, you're correct. I do have a little bit of a cold, so I apologize for my voice. Anyway, let me first say this. So musically, I kind of grew up in an era before the computer revolution. Now, back then it meant that if you wanted to do anything in music, you kind of had no other choice but to first learn how to play an instrument. So I did. So I started to play the bass guitar, I started to play the guitar a little bit, started to play some keys, etc. I also started to create and compose music that way, the old-fashioned way, so to speak. Very playful way of making music, and I'm just very happy that I got to experience that way of music creation. Now, over the years, somehow I started to more and more move away from that, and more I got into doing everything in the box. Now, for those of you that don't know, in the box basically means everything is in the computer. So I have my DAW there, I have my virtual instruments there, my virtual effects, so everything is there. So it's a very convenient way of creating music. It's also a very inexpensive way of creating music, relatively, because you don't need a lot of external gear for that. Now, great way of making music, I'll still be doing that, but I've gotten to a point where I feel that I also need to be breaking out of that again. So recently something sparked within me that really makes me want to kind of rediscover that old-fashioned way of creating music. So playing around, messing around with real instruments again, very playfully creating music that way. Now, in that context, one thing that I thought would be very interesting for me, and that is live looping. Now, I actually very recently bought a loop station. I have it right here. I will show you some B-roll footage. This is the Boss RC505. Probably the most popular, if not one of the most popular loop stations out there. By the way, just today I heard that later this year a new version is coming. Maybe I should have waited a few more months. But anyway, I just started messing around with this. I'm still in the experimental phase, but I can already tell it's really a lot of fun, and I'll be doing a lot more of that. So this is one of the most popular hardware loop stations out there, but nowadays more and more people are starting to discover live looping with their DAW. It's been going on for a while, but more and more people are now starting to discover it. Now, if you think about live looping with a DAW, of course, the one name that comes to mind very quickly is, of course, Ableton Live. So, at least from a reputational point of view, Ableton Live is kind of the king of live looping. But there are other DAWs with very similar features. So, for example, Bitwig. Now, Bitwig is very similar to Ableton Live anyway, so they also have live looping features. I know that Digital Performer also has live looping features, Logic Pro, and maybe some others as well, I don't know. But I do know that Studio One does not. Now, the latest version of Studio One is version 5, which was released last year, and with the release of that, Presonus introduced the so-called show page. Now, the show page, really amazing. It's aimed at live performances, and there's just a lot you can do with that. You can create entire set lists and just a lot. I'm not going to go over all the details. Just take it from me, it's really an amazing feature set. So it's aimed at live performances, but live performances with pre-recorded songs. So it's really aimed at people who want to play along with their songs that they've pre-recorded or sing along with that. And amazing is really great for that, but it's not live looping. So as far as I know, there are no live looping features in Studio One at all. Now, as I'm getting more and more interested in live looping, I just had to take a look at Ableton Live. So I opened Ableton Live for the first time in my life. I knew about Ableton Live, I knew it was great, but I just never had the need to take a look at it because Studio One just gave me everything I needed. Until now, apparently. So I took a look at Ableton Live a little bit. I also took a look at Bitwig and Digital Performer. And I have to say something that many of you will already know. Those live looping features are really, really, really amazing. And I'm really, really interested in that. And, now that I've seen what they can do, retrospectively, I'm very surprised that Studio One doesn't have these features at all. Because I consider Studio One, and I might be a little bit prejudiced here, but I consider Studio One as one of the most innovative DAWs out there. So for them not to have these features at all is very surprising to me. And I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's a deliberate choice by Presonus, if they're saying, okay, live looping is great, but it's not for us, it's not really our thing, we're gonna leave that to others, or if they just haven't gotten around to it yet. Either way, very surprising. So this is my request, and I think you can guess where I'm going with this. So Presonus, if you're watching, again, I've been using Studio One as my main DAW for a while now. Really love Studio One. I want to keep using Studio One, but I've also started to get interested in live looping and live looping with my DAW. So my request is for you to at least look into adding live looping features to Studio One. That would really, really, really be great. That would really help me out. Because, I would really not like it to have to go to, and this is by no means a threat or anything, I'm just speaking from my own personal experience here. I would really not like it to have to go to another DAW just for live looping features. Because I really love Studio One. I want to keep using it. I'm used to Studio One. I know where the shortcuts are, so to speak. I don't want to go to another DAW, having to get used to that DAW again, which is always a hassle, having to spend a lot of money on another DAW again. I just want to stay here and keep using Studio One. So please look into adding these features to Studio One. Okay? So that's my request. I think I could go on for a while about this, but I think I'm gonna leave it at that. This is basically what I wanted to say today. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.